off with an empty cup.
I've been saving mine for the camera.
You saving it because you're drinking beer too.
Yeah, I was trying to see if I could get that aftertaste to go away.
All right, folks. Well, welcome back. Larry and Erik. We're going to drink some mead tonight. We're going to finish racking all this off. Toast, sir. All right, so these are our 4 flavors. These are our 4 flavors. We have the Larry Berry Punch, the apple spice, the pumpkin spice, and over here hiding behind the mushroom is the mango habanero. What we're going to do is we're going to rack these 1 gallon carboys into a clean and sterilized
Carboy?
Sterilized rack. I keep saying the wrong word most of the time. Sterilized 1 gallon carboy, and then we're going to pasteurize it in the 1 gallon carboy. But first we're going to back sweeten it to our liking. I'm not going to really go through all the whole taking different gravities and everything.
So this is a auto siphon. It's a 1 siphon, so it's a little easier. I thought it would be easier for the 1 gallon carboys. I hope this thing keeps its color.
I like that ruby. Almost looks like pomegranate.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, we should have got that. I should have brought that cheesecloth over.
Yeah, if I had thought about it, I would have done some, cleaned some up and dried them out. So we already did the other 4 bottles of just the standard mead. We did those on Saturday, which would have been exactly 1 month to the day of starting this whole project. I was trying to hold on till Friday because I have a shipment of bottles coming in to actually bottle all this, but I won't be able to do that until Friday. We'll go ahead and get on that Friday afternoon or Friday evening.
And when you do this, you're not going to get every drop, but you just want to get as much of it as you can.
That was a really pretty color. Let's see if I can accentuate that color. Real pretty ruby red. Doesn't really show up too well on the camera.
Yeah, I think that's about as much as you're probably going to get.
That's all we're going to get out of that?
I think so. I mean, maybe get a little bit more, but you have a lot of pulp.
We don't have to push it. We'll just drain that in if you'd like. Alright, let me get a bowl to move all that, because we got to clean this out in between each one of these. I'm just going to carry this over here to the sink and drop it in here for a minute.
So if you can't see it, that's about how much we lost between the fruit and the lease at the bottom. So it's not too bad.
Not really, not too bad. I mean, what's that? Has almost.
Smell good?
Yeah, it smells really good, actually. I mean,
yeah,
I think it does anyway. I think it smells kind of like hot wine, to be honest. I kind of
almost like sangria or something.
Yeah. All right, so We can go ahead and take a little taste test of this and see what we got going on here. At the moment, all this has been sanitized. Here you go, Larry. I expect this to taste very dry and tart.
Oh yeah.
Very, very dry and tart. I don't know why. I insist on standing way over there. But I can taste the fruit.
Yeah. You get a nice fruity flavor, but it is dry.
Yeah, that fruity flavor is right. It's immediate.
It's almost like a dry wine cooler.
I really wish that I would have put the raisins in there like you suggested. And
Thicken it up a little bit.
I'm definitely going to try to... Larry actually made quite a few suggestions that I wasn't able to actually meet throughout the beginning of all this, just due to inexperience. If any of you are just joining, this is my very first time doing mead at all, and this is both of our first time doing the Bray's 1 month mead, which is kind of carried over to 1 month and 3 days, but still. So let's go ahead and... You already popped one of these off, didn't you?
Both of them.
Both of them? So I know earlier I did about 2/3 of one of these to a gallon. That's just 2
Well,
pounds.
that was 2/3 to the whole gallon.
Right.
Or not the whole gallon, but the 4 gallons.
Was it?
So we did it in the bucket, and we had all 4 gallons in that bucket.
Oh, that's right. It was. Okay. He right.
So I would do maybe like a quarter of that or less, and just try it and see how it tastes.
That's what it's for.
And there's no lees in the bottom there, so you can stir to your heart's content.
Yeah, so we did the other 4 gallons of the standard meat already the other day, and so I jumped the gun a little bit. Again, what, jumped the gun? What is that, time for a toast? Jumped the gun and went ahead and I bottled it all out of the 1 gallon carboys into 750 ml bottles, pasteurized it in those bottles, and then went ahead and corked them. Well, I found out about 12 short hours later that I probably shouldn't have done it that way, because all of my bottles have a bunch of the lease. Is it lease?
Well, it's sediment.
Sediments.
It's where the some of the yeast that's in suspension and some of the proteins, it kills the yeast off, so the yeast and the proteins start to fall out of suspension, and it clears, and it'll get crystal clear, but that's going to create a sediment at the bottom of your bottle,
which visually is not desirable. All right, got your handy dandy tasting cup.
Oh, that's a lot better.
And I do see what you were talking about with that kind of watery, light body due to not putting raisins in there.
Yeah, a lot of people think the raisins add nutrients, and they don't, but they do add viscosity. So they'll give your wine or mead flavor, or not flavor, but well, a little bit of flavor. I don't know how many you put, but you put about 20 raisins, and it just thickens it up a little bit, gives it a little bit of body.
I'll put a tiny bit more in there. It is much better.
It almost reminds me of that raspberry mead that we tried, but not as sweet, but I feel like that's what the raspberry mead was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because that stuff was dry.
Yes, it was. It didn't taste bad, but it was definitely dry.
Yeah. Another thing that'll add body that might be interesting if you're doing a fruit punch type mead would be bananas. So supposedly bananas and raisins both add body.
I should have added bananas anyway. Bananas would have definitely fit in that mix.
Yeah. Still delicious though.
But you live and learn. Trial and error. I don't see anything moving around. I feel like this probably mixes it pretty well, quickly too. All those little phalanges. All right. Let's try it one more time. Pretty sure this is going to be fine because that last one was fine. I just wanted it a little bit sweeter. I can smell it now. I can smell the honey. That's much better. That's delicious, actually.
That would be great chilled.
Yeah, I don't want to put too much honey in there. I don't want to cover up all that fruit flavor, but this is actually a really good flavor right now. I would probably describe it more like a red dessert wine with the kind of a. You could taste the honey now. It's not super sharp.
It's not super sweet. It's pretty sweet. You get a little bit of the bitterness from the fermented honey, and a little bit of that tartness from those berries.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. I so wish y'all could taste it, but you can't. All right, so I'm gonna bring a pressure pot over here. We're gonna cap this off with some foil. We're going to drop a thermometer in it, and we're going to put a sous vide machine in there, compliments of Larry, and we're going to heat this up to 140 degrees internally, and then we'll start a timer for 20 minutes.
20 minutes. 20
minutes. And the sous vide machine will bring the external temperature up to about 145. The internal temperature will get somewhere around 142, 143. It won't reach 145. I didn't see it reach 145.
I would pasteurize that, let it sit for maybe 5 days to a week, let all that stuff fall out, and then rack it.
Okay. You heard him. 5 days.
And then I'm gonna come over and drink it all when he's asleep.
No kidding. I might drink it all while I'm asleep. All right.
I'm gonna come in. There's gonna be an IV bed like you're sick.
Larry Berry Punch is pretty delicious.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Not bad at all. All right. Go ahead and set
that makes me excited to try the rest of these now.
That'll work.
And I just know, because this is in Celsius, once it gets up to 60, that's 140 degrees.
All right. All right, so this is not going to be a super fun thing to watch, but
you get to see me.
I will keep you entertained with a lot of mead drinking. Yeah, Larry. So the next one we'll do, I don't want to do the mango habanero until last, just mainly because I don't want the capsaicin to get stuck in any way, shape, or fashion, because capsaicin's like oil. It'll get stuck on that plastic pretty easily. So I don't really want to transfer any of that habanero into the other fruity dishes here, or bottles. So we'll just go this way then. We'll just do the pumpkin, the apple, and then the mango habanero. And then I'll just clean his siphon out really well before we send it home with him. Hopefully without any capsaicin in it. But we're going to be doing another recipe also, apple pie. But Larry forgot the graham.
Yeah, I got a graham cracker flavoring that I found at the store. We've been trying to figure out how to put graham crackers in a mead, and I was at the local brew shop, and they had a bunch of flavor on the wall, and I looked, I said, well, that might be good. So, and he says that it's pretty popular. A lot of people buy, not specifically that flavoring, but the different alcohol flavorings. So I said, well, I'll try it, see how it works out.
We're still working on the pecan pie, and I was thinking about doing a s'mores. The chocolate, I think we've got that probably.
Cocoa nibs. That's what everybody seems to be using. You get one of those chocolate rabbits from Easter, or we just use those chocolate from Halloween.
Yeah, it's Halloween.
Go out and rob some little kid, take his bag, throw his chocolate in the mead.
I was gonna say, we should do Halloween chocolate instead of waiting for Easter.
Yeah,
so quite a long ways away.
We should have to rob a child or two.
So the s'mores mead, the pumpkin pie, or not pumpkin, the pecan pie, and the apple pie, and then we still have another pie that we can do. That'll be 4 gallons. I don't know, maybe you guys can chime in and say what type of pie you'd like to see us do, and we'll try to come up with some kind of recipe. Can't guarantee it's going to be delicious, but it'll make mead, make alcohol.
We're going to drink it.
No matter what.
You might see us drink it and make a face.
I almost make a face every time I drink. But, no, I think these are all going to be really delicious. This does taste really good. And another thing too, I don't want to misinform anybody. If anything tastes just gross, I'm definitely going to say it tastes gross. You'll know that it tastes gross anyway to me. Anyway.
But we're still going to drink it.
But we're still going to drink it. Just drink it really quick.
We paid for it.
So I'm really excited about the apple spice. I think it's going to carry a lot of cinnamon. I did throw a cinnamon tree in there, if y'all don't recall that. I definitely made sure that the apple.
I think there were still elves inside of that thing.
So the apple spice is definitely going to have some cinnamon. This right here, I have sampled the habanero, mango habanero. I sampled it. It has a little bit of spice to it. It's really mild though. It's not as hot as I thought it was going to be. I was just thinking it was just going to be excruciating and you wouldn't be able to actually even enjoy drinking it at all. But of course that was a week ago when I did the last video, the 5-day update. So it may have intensified by now. I doubt it, but it may have.
So typically if you want to do spicy mead like habanero or jalapeno, you do, 1 pepper, a lot of people say is enough, and then the seeds is where a lot of the spice is, but we used 1.5 with no seeds because I think we were worried about how much spice was going to get into it. But like you said, if that's not spicy enough, next time we make it, we maybe add some of the seeds and see how that turns out.
Yeah, because it's, like I said, it's super mild. There wasn't much spice in it at all, so if we do add some seeds, then that would actually bring up the spice level, the capsaicin count in there.
We could still do that if you wanted to.
I don't.
And secondary.
I don't.
It would just take longer to clear and drink.
Yeah. I pretty much want to get these all cleared and bottled, and then pretty much set on them. A couple of these I have obligation already to other people. I know Larry's going to get a bottle of each. I'm going to hold back a bottle of each. And if I can get another bottle out of there, I'm going to make sure that I take those to the Thanksgiving dinner at my daughter's house. So,
also to sell on the black market in Mexico.
JustMe.com. No, that's not even a thing. I'm just kidding.
Somebody's got a website. They're like, I got all these hits. All 2 people.
So, yeah, we'll get these little black spots. You'll see these in here. Y'all remember we put the vanilla bean in there? That's all that is, the vanilla bean paste. They don't really break up. They just kind of stay clumped. I don't.
Yeah, it's
not very desirable.
You'll get the flavor from it, and it'll taste just fine. The only other way to do that, if you're worried about clumping, which is not really any reason to worry about it, would be the vanilla extract.
Yeah. Yeah, vanilla extract. And actually, that's going to be something that we're going to play around with too, because this is super expensive. Buying vanilla bean, I paid a little over $11 for 2 beans. Now I know that seems kind of silly. You can buy vanilla bean online. You can get, I think it was 11 ounces, or no, 1 ounce, which is roughly 10 to 11 beans. You can get that for about $15. I personally, when I go purchase something like that, I want to have it in hand. It's a tangible item that I want in my hand immediately at the time of purchase. I don't want to sit and wait on it, and I definitely don't want to give somebody my money and then come to find out that either I didn't get the product or I got something that was nasty and rancid and it's old. That's why it's cheaper than the way I was going to buy it at the farmer's market or something like that.
Or it's out in the heat and spoiled.
Or yeah, or it's spoiled, you know. So the farmer's market, the fresh produce market at your local Kroger, if you have Kroger or not, I don't know. But that's where we got those from. Oh, the apple pie. So when we do the apple pie with the gram, and we're gonna do red Washington apples instead of the green sour Granny Smith apples. So we'll be doing that with the red Washington sweet apples and the gram flavoring. And we're gonna do cinnamon trees again and all that good stuff. We're gonna put all that in there. Probably not as much, but we'll find out from here. This recipe right here, I know I put 3 full sticks.
Yeah, well, you got those big sticks,
Yeah.
and then you broke those in half, and you put.
So it's 3 full sticks.
Yeah.
6 short sticks, half sticks, but 3 full sticks is what I put in there. Which is, it's a lot, I admit, but I think it's gonna taste good. I like cinnamon, cinnamon flavor or anything. I love cinnamon toothpicks. And yeah, I love those. I know it's not the same thing as cinnamon tincture, but
On the apple pie meat, are you gonna do the apple juice instead of water?
yes, and that's another thing too. We're going to use apple juice instead of water.
So it's gonna be fermented honey and fermented apple juice, and then we'll add apples in the secondary, which will reinforce that apple flavor to give it a ton of flavor.
And we're going to use raisins. Raisins is something that raisins and black tea. I know on the last video of the 5-day update, for some reason I kept saying green tea. I corrected it on the screen, black tea. Raisins and black tea are already purchased. They're in my kit, and they're going to go in everything from now on. I personally don't really care for the real thin, watery viscosity. I do like some body to it. This is almost like just drinking like rice liquor is what it kind of reminds me of. Real thin, isopropyl alcohol.
Yeah,
Just
like
super
water.
thin.
Yeah. Well, because it essentially goes dry, right? So when we got to it, it was like 1.000, and then I think by the time we actually pasteurized the regular meat, it was like 0.98. So it dropped below 1.000, which is the density of water. So it's less dense than water, and then we put the honey in it, so it's about as dense as water, you know, give or take. It's, you look at 1.14, I think was what we sweetened to.
Yes.
So that's what it was after we sweetened it.
Which is still good. It's just that viscosity is just super thin.
Yeah.
Kind of want it to like relax on the palate, not just run across it real quick.
You want the body, you want the tannins, you want there's a lot of different things that they add to alcohol and mead to balance everything out to get a nice product.
Right. So we got some dishes to wash, so we can prepare for the second bottle. We're gonna go continue to let this go ahead and pasteurize. I don't know what the temperature is just yet. Yeah, we're not even registering just yet. So it's pretty much probably just slightly above room temperature right now, which my house is always around 71, 72. So we'll let this continue to go and wash some dishes. We'll see y'all back here in just a moment.
Eric's gone. I'm drinking all his mead. I think what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and rack the pumpkin spice mead into this clean carboy, and then we're going to go ahead and get that pasteurized. And then after that will be the apple, and then these, or last but not least, will be the mango habanero mead.
Yeah, we figured y'all seen the
Oh yeah, that smells good. Smells kind of like
Wow.
pumpkin pie.
It does kind of have that pumpkin pie. Well, not even kind of. It really does have pumpkin pie scent. All right. So we figured you guys, y'all seen the process on the first bottle. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna step process through this instead of just showing you the whole thing from start to finish, rather. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this one racked into this bottle. We'll sweeten it to taste and start the pasteurization, and then we'll just move on to the next bottle and so on and so forth. Go ahead and get these out of the way. The process is quite lengthy. As you saw, the timer on the sous vide had 43 minutes, 45?
52 minutes.
52 minutes. So it's almost an hour per gallon. So we don't want to, have you guys watching a 4 to 5 hour video.
And you're not pasteurizing for an hour. You're only pasteurizing for 20 minutes, but it takes an hour to get the meat inside the carboy up to 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and then sit there for 20 minutes. So a half hour to get it up to 140 degrees from room temperature, and then 20 minutes to sit there at 140 degrees to pasteurize the meat and kill the yeast off.
Exactly.
That way you can back sweeten safely without creating a bottle bomb. Because if you were to let these sit and put a cap on them, an airtight cap, and you put honey in there, that yeast that was still in there, if it wasn't fermented, would start fermenting again and creating CO2, and these bottles would explode.
Lovely bit of information, especially if you're doing this in your closet or something. You don't want this all over your clothes, your carpet. If you're in an apartment, lose your deposit. It's going to be horrible. Can you tilt it?
That's what we do. Get the tilt on. Another thing you can do that I honestly just forgot was put cheesecloth around your siphon, which we will probably do whenever we go to bottle these, to keep that pulp and things, the fruit pulp, out of the mead when we bottle it. That way you get a nice, clean, pure product.
The pulp in this jar, this carboy is quite bigger. It's larger pulp, so it will be a lot easier to filter out. But I noticed that whenever I did this originally on the 4 standard gallons, was that after I pasteurized, that all that fell out. It was crystal clear up here, and then a huge amount of the sediment in the bottom of the 750 ml bottles. So we're gonna cut that whole thing out with this process. And Larry actually said that, but again, I jumped the gun.
He got excited. He's like, I can drink this now. That's the hardest part about making meat, is to sit and wait until it's,
stopped.
yeah, just about.
I still see a bunch in here. Let's try to get a little bit more. I'm gonna run like Flash, and I'm back.
He's gonna edit that to make it seem like it happened.
Well, I would
45
if you
seconds.
hadn't walked back. If you would have stood still, I would have done it. Yeah. All right, hold on.
Well, now we'll never know what it tastes like dry.
I wasn't going to taste it dry, but I was going to try to get a good estimate of how much I put in the last one. So about a little less than a third of it, I guess. So we're going to start off with I'm going to give it a squeeze like that, and then I'm going to stop it and check it from there. I personally don't like a dry, and I don't like an oversweet. So,
Well, if this ends up being really good, you're never going to get to taste it because your wife's going to drink every bit of it.
Absolutely, most likely. Too bad I can't like just tip that and let it. You know what I mean?
Well,
'cause that's a lot.
It is, and that's kind of the thing with fruit mead. That's why I've got that 1.4 gallon, the Carlos Rossi bottle, right? So you get that extra almost half gallon
Yeah.
to sit and make mead in. So you still get a gallon of product. Hopefully, we'll see. I'll let you know how it works out. So I'm trying it right now.
All right. Well, this is the pumpkin spice. Got your taster cup over there ready? All right.
That smell.
Dude, I can smell that cinnamon spice so good.
Tastes good.
Wow.
I'm surprised at how good that turned out.
That's delicious. I am going to sweeten a little bit more, but that is delicious.
And I was curious as if it would work better with roasted pumpkin or raw pumpkin, but we used raw pumpkin and it worked really well.
All right, so that's not quite a full squeeze. I probably did just half a squeeze. We're roughly at half a bottle used so far of 2 pounds. So we've used about a pound between those two bottles.
So if you're following this recipe exactly, you make sure you use no more, no less than half a squeeze. And if you mess this up, it's your fault. We told you exactly how much to put in there. Don't blame us if this doesn't turn out right.
That tastes really good. That has and I could taste the vanilla. I could actually taste the vanilla. That was what I was worried about because it just stayed clumped up. One more sips. All right.
Make sure when you drink your mead, you put your pinky up in here.
All right, I think that is really good right there. Wow.
And with some age, that's going to get even smoother. That's going to be amazing.
That is going to be super delicious. Okay, I'm going to wash my hands off. Let's go ahead and we'll get this set up to go into pasteurization here. And you were just barely poking at it, right?
Yeah, just.
All right. And I'm going to let Larry take over from there because that's his machine. And he knows exactly how to work it.
Yeah, certain fruits, the skins will have tannins in it. And tannin will give you that kind of dries out your tongue, that kind of puckery flavor. And then tea has a lot of tannins too. So when you put black tea in a mead, you won't taste the tea. It's not going to taste like tea. But
Not green tea.
you're going to get the tannins and that kind of sensation that tannins give you. But I don't think every fruit skin has tannins in it. For instance, like raisins or grapes. Well, grapes may have some tannins.
I imagine grapes would because, you know, grapes are kind of have that tarty,
Yeah.
dry.
I don't know about mango skin, and that was another thing too. Is I told you wrong because I said, fruit usually just do it with the skin on, but then everybody I've seen when I went back and watched, everybody I've seen that fermented mango, they peeled it, took the skin off.
Yeah.
But mango, I'm just curious as to how this can taste because mango in itself is not a super strong flavor, especially when paired with honey. Kind of like peach, it's kind of a delicate, sweet flavor, just like honey is.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how well that's going to blend with the honey. Or like, are you even going to be able to taste the mango? Or are they just going to meld together so much that you can't even really, tell much of a difference? Or is it going to be a pretty pronounced flavor?
Let's find out. Little towel in it. All right. Oh, we lost it. There we go. He's a professional.
Professional.
I'm actually, this is probably the one that excites me the most right here is the apple spice.
Because of the cinnamon tree.
I'm gonna have
We got a whole cinnamon tree in there with 6 drunken Keebler elves.
a full vanilla bean.
They've stopped making cookies and they're now getting cranky, so.
Am I allowed to say Keebler on here? Is that trademark?
I'm sorry, not Keebler elves. Generic
Just
cookie
elves.
The
ones that make those really good cookies.
Like Orlando Bloom. Try to set it down on top of the cinnamon stick to pick up as much of that cinnamon as possible. Do you want to make fireball mead?
Ooh.
Created a monster.
That reminds me, you didn't get any more.
No, because I forgot. Erik's a hard taskmaster.
I got it, buddy.
It's like working in a sweatshop.
I don't press that hard, but
Whenever I stop making meat, he burns my feet.
Back to work, you imbecile.
He started screaming at me in Vietnamese. I don't even know he know how to speak Vietnamese.
I didn't even know how to speak Vietnamese. It just came to me. So this is the standard that we made.
Yeah.
But as I say, it's already bottled, and we do have a nasty cloud at the bottom, but
It'll clear out. And this thing is going to change so much over time too, so it's going to get clearer. The flavors, I mean, it's going to taste even better. Like, it tastes pretty good right now. It's going to taste even better, and the longer you let it sit. They recommend typically you don't drink mead for 6 months to a year. This BOMM recipe, the Bray's 1 month mead, it was made to be drank in a month. So it tastes good now. I can't even imagine what it's going to taste like in 3, 4, 5, 6 months. When when it goes through malolactic fermentation and all those compounds break down.
it's going to be hard to even know what it's going to taste like in 6 months, probably because it's not going to be around in 6 months.
Erik's running the same problem I did.
All right, so that was 1 1/4 squeezes.
Make sure you keep up.
All right.
You should give them Damon's email to complain.
I think this is funny. Ryan's a friend on this account. He's still working here.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Since you got that brush, take and scrub some of that honey.
Did I get some on here?
Scrub the honey. Always scrub your honey.
Scrub that honey. Did I get?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't even notice I got some on the side.
You can see a honey trail.
Oh no. Not the honey trail.
It's ruined now.
Throw it out.
Yeah, I have to drink it all.
Throw it out back, but don't pour it out.
Just take the bottle and toss it.
That is a nice clarity already. Look how nice and the color of it's nice. I like how you kept your glass there.
He's just gonna keep going as long as I sit there.
Oh my goodness, dude. That smells like apple cinnamon rolls.
Definitely get a lot of that cinnamon, and you do get a hint of that apple. It is that green tart apple. I don't know if I can say that. Apple flavor. Apple flavor.
Bleep. Let's give it a little bit more honey. Just a tiny bit. So I'm probably actually back sweetening this about 1/4 pound on each gallon. Not a whole lot.
My wife's gonna be mad at me. She's like, "You ate pie without me? I can smell it on your breath." "Oh, we were drinking meat. Don't lie to me." Eric's a homewrecker. He's breaking up my house.
Yeah, I have had you over here 4 weeks in a row.
Over there eating pie in secret.
And you were just over here on Saturday.
That's what happens when you're fat. They don't think you cheat. They think you sneak off with the pie.
You had sweets without me. Let's take one more sip. I actually like this one. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Please, sir, may I have some more?
May I have some more? Man, that really does smell delicious. That's good. That's a good recipe, and I don't know yet, but we'll see once it's chilled. But I don't feel like that's too much cinnamon.
No, I think you let that, like you said, you let that refine, let it clear out, chill it.
We'll see.
And I think it's going to turn out to be really good.
Okay. All right, so because I haven't put labels on these bottles yet, I need to make sure that I don't get these all mixed up. I know that one's the pumpkin. I'll have to get my wife to come in and get some more labels because I'm too silly to know how to do it.
I have to cleanse my palate. This is the dangerous mead. Dangerous men drink dangerous mead. I'm dangerous if there's pie around. Pie or tacos.
All right, mango habanero. I'm still,
You gotta have a catchphrase.
sorry, this is mango habanero.
Whenever you're making mead, you always need a catchphrase. It's time to suck.
All right. If any of you all been following, I'm probably sure you're like I am at the moment and very curious on how this is going to turn out.
Stop staring at me. Creep me out.
I'm hoping. I have hopes.
High hopes.
I hope that this is going to be good.
I'm a man of many talents. I can siphon and drink.
I can hold this jar and not hold it.
Flawless. So lift it higher, baby.
Oh, there it goes. Pro, once again. Nice. Very nice, very nice. Otherwise, I'll turn it all the way up. All right. And like flash, right back to the sink. Alright, so our mango habanero. Unless he moved it. Did you move it? Did you switch it around?
No.
This one right here was apple.
But I admit I am not paying attention.
And this is pumpkin spice. So we got ASMHPS. Alright, so this one is ready to go in next. cut that, please, sir? We're not going to put the caps on tight. Put them on there so stuff doesn't get in. It calls for a toast, actually. Cappy Mead. I didn't know we were going all the way home on that one.
It's your mead.
All right. So, mango habanero.
Are we sure this is the mango habanero one? Do we want to take a sip of it to make sure? I know that's how you marked it, but we both walked away.
Here. Did you switch while we weren't looking?
I don't know. That's definitely mango habanero. And you do
I
get
feel
some
the
of the
spice.
capsaicin, yeah.
I feel the spice.
That's not bad.
Took about 3 seconds for it to hit.
Yeah.
It does need some. That's actually not. I could definitely say that this is probably going to be a heartburn mead, though.
That's something you're going to sit and drink eight big mugs of. Like, this is not what the Vikings were drinking. Because they were pansies.
Alright.
Should talk your wife into coming here and trying this.
No.
You want some of that pumpkin meat? It's delicious.
It's really, I mean, you know, for ghost pepper, you would think that that heat would stick around. It really doesn't, though.
Oh, the habanero?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really stick around. It's gone already.
Yeah, I mean, I still taste a little bit of it, but
I feel it in my chest more than anything.
it's not one of those things that it's like sticks in your mouth and it just burns and you got to drink water. It's just a light burn, just to let you know, like, hey, this is a spicy pepper, right?
Yeah.
This is a little bit spicy.
Right. Yeah, it's not over top.
It's not unpleasant at all. But on the other hand, if you really love spicy stuff, then go to town. I like, just a little bit of spice and some of that flavor.
Which is strange. You know what I need to do? Because I can smell that apple in my glass.
I thought that's what I was smelling too, but I think it's the mango.
I think it's the cinnamon, though, the apple cinnamon.
Smell the actual mead, the big bottle, and see if it smells like that. No, yes.
A little, I guess a little bit. It does need a little bit more honey, though.
That is interesting. I've never had a spicy drink before. And I remember when they made this, when I first saw them make this on YouTube, a capsaicin, I thought, well, that's kind of strange. And as soon as I recommended it to Eric, he's like, oh, that sounds delicious. I love that. And I love spicy food. I love buffalo wings and things, but, I wasn't sure about a spicy drink, but it's actually pretty good. It's pretty interesting.
I think I'm going to put the rest of this honey in there.
Okay.
I'm just going to kick it up with the sweetness.
Kick it up a notch. Pow! Pow! I think it was Emerald Argosy. Pow!
Is that the guy with the real tornadoes?
With the what?
The real tornadoes?
The real tornadoes?
Chevy versus Ford?
Emerald Argosy was a chef.
Oh,
That's where he used to say, kick it up a notch. Every time he cooks something, he'd go, kick it up a notch, and then he'd throw like salt or something, like, pow! Bam!
I thought he was talking about a YouTube personality. He has real tornadoes in his V8. Alright, I'm not trying to plug anybody here, so.
You gotta pay for that. You want both our viewers to hear your name?
I think his name's Emery, actually. No more plugs, though. He's funny, though.
That was the honey. Don't get excited.
Excuse you.
Blame it on the dog. Every time I hear that noise, I just smell apple cinnamon. It's a dog.
The heat doesn't stick around very long. I feel it more like right here in the center of my chest. I don't taste it anymore. It only lasts a few seconds.
That might be a thing that you fill up a cup, like, just have a cup or two. I don't see you like sitting there sipping on that all night, unless you really just love it. Or, yeah, I mean, you could throw some Pepsi AC or something in there.
Spike with some tubs. Some Pepsi.
When you get to the retirement age, you start making medicine needs.
And bad decisions.
This is Metamucil mead. This is Tylenol mead.
Oh, man, I got my Vicodin mead. All right, let's check that out. Larry's over here holding on to his sippy cup. He's ready.
I know it's coming out sooner or later.
All right.
So I reckon with all the samples, we've had about a full shot glass of mead. You think you're going to be able to drive me home?
I don't know, dude.
This is 12%.
Woo.
You can make this up to 18%, but alcohol has its own flavor. And at 18%, I don't know if you're going to get the good flavors. I don't know if you're going to get this taste as good as it does and still be 18 or 20%. Some things may be better 18 or 20%. You know, I guess it just depends on the flavors that you're using and what you enjoy.
Do you see that?
Yeah, that's just carbonation coming out.
Wow. That's doing it way more than any of the other ones, huh?
Yeah. It's degassing. That's what the sound was. It wasn't us farting, it was the gassy mead.
Oh, the gassy mead. You watch yourselves, fellas, if you're messing with gassy mead. Ladies don't like that.
Though, if she's blonde enough, you may be able to convince her that drinking mead makes your farts taste like honey. You're only going to fool her once, though, so make it good. Come here and smell this. I'm not falling for that twice.
Bring it over.
We should do a buffalo chicken mead.
Buffalo chicken meat.
Buffalo sauce, chicken, blue cheese.
Ooh.
He didn't say no.
I'm always on the fence about everything.
I think that's good. It's slower to the heat though on that one. Like I still get it,
it's just
but
not getting here.
Yeah, it takes a second.
Okay, so I'm going to be honest with you right now. This flavor is an interesting flavor. Right now, it's not a delicious flavor. It's more of an interesting combination of flavors.
Well, this too will smooth out, and you may lose some of that heat.
So, if you like an Asian zing buffalo wings or something like that, or some sort of it has the like pepper, sweet pepper teriyaki or something like that.
Like sweet and spicy. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, sweet and spicy. Not so much teriyaki.
Because it doesn't taste like habanero, because I hate the flavor of habanero.
Yeah.
It doesn't taste like that at all. It's sweet, but you somehow still get that habanero burn. So you get none of the habanero flavor, but just a little bit of that burn.
For a second, too. It's weird, because it's in tits and then out.
But the interesting thing is, immediately when you feel that burn, it makes you want to go. And then when you do that, it's like you get that honey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You feel you taste the honey across the top of your tongue.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'll have to keep up with that one.
It is. That might be a fun one to break out to whenever you have somebody over. It's like, have you ever had this? Or don't even tell them what's in it. Just let them try it. And just hope they're not allergic to it. Habaneros.
Just hope. There's always hope, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to put these foil over the top of this and get it ready to go into pasteurization. And into pasteurization. You got it? Okay. So, what do you think, Larry?
I think it's turned out better than any of the meat I've made so far. I'm really impressed with it. And
see, I don't know that because I'm binge drinking his the last mead that he made.
Yeah, I made a mead. It was Sir Michael of York. I wasn't a big fan of it, but
it's delicious.
He loves it.
It's delicious. So we were sitting here, 3 weekends ago?
It's last weekend when I brought this over.
Well, it was 3 weekends ago whenever I started, going after your gallon.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't this stuff, though.
Oh, it wasn't? Oh, okay,
No,
never mind. Then.
that was
take
the
all
other
this back,
stuff.
so let me just go ahead and start over. This stuff is really delicious. I think it's really delicious. It does have a nutmeggy flavor to it. I know it was done with probably more lemon than Larry would have liked to have done, but I don't mind the lemon. I feel like lemon's delicious.
Yeah, I admit, I'm not a big lemon guy anyway. I like lemon in certain foods, like you're making fish, it goes really well with certain foods, but I'm not a big guy for lemon in meat or lemon in sweet things, desserts.
And I do. I like lemon zest, lemon flavor, lemon heads, lemon warheads. I like all types of lemon stuff. But I definitely get the flavor that you don't like. I get the robust flavor that you don't like, which is what I do like. So that just goes to show that a lot of things that you might not like or particularly care for the flavor of something, but it still could be good to somebody else. I really like this. He doesn't really care for it at all.
Yeah.
So, you just got to play with it.
Well, and that's another thing too, is I was kind of curious because I believe that's like a European, I could be wrong. It's the Sir Michael of York. You can find it on the internet, but I thought it was a European kind of recipe, and they just have kind of different flavors. They like different types of food than we do. European style cooking is completely different than, most of the world is different,
Yeah, that's why you have.
So I wasn't sure if I was going to like it anyway.
I think a lot of European desserts have orange and lemon acidic fruit zests on it anyway.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like when it comes to desserts, all I eat is chocolate. And as soon as I find out how to make a chocolate mead, chocolate milkshake.
We're gonna try it. We're gonna try it out with the s'mores.
Yeah.
The s'mores. I really think that I forgot the name of it.
Cocoa nibs.
I don't really want to experiment so much with cocoa nibs.
Cocoa powder. Chocolate malt.
Hold on a second.
Ovaltine.
Ovaltine chocolate malt. And the main reason why is because it separates from the solid mass that when you mix this up, unlike chocolate syrup or anything like that, when you mix chocolate syrup up into milk, you look at it about 3 minutes later, don't touch it. Look at it about 3 minutes later. It looks like just regular white milk. If you do this, it's still kind of chocolatey looking. It doesn't look like everything completely stayed separated. So
how's the flavor on that?
I think it's really good. I mean, this has a really rich milk chocolate flavor to it.
It has a rich flavor to it?
Really rich milk chocolate flavor.
Smells good.
Yeah, I mean, it's delicious. I love Ovaltine. So
the interesting thing is it's got vitamins and minerals in there, and they always say the minerals in the mineral water or spring water are good for the yeast, so that might work out well.
Yeah, maybe the only thing we should be concerned about is there's 0 fat in this. You know, and
Well, I wouldn't think that that would be a bad thing. 0 fat.
I need fat. It's wintertime.
I'm
guys.
curious as to how it's rich with no fat in it, though.
Right.
That is curious to me.
It has it's magic. It's magic. Your kids love it. It's just magic, man. Kids love magic.
Ovaltine.
So anyway, I would like to experiment before I do cocoa nibs, just for cost efficiency, really. Some of the Ovaltine, and if this doesn't really pan out so well, then maybe we can just go on and try actual nibs and see how that works out.
I love the nibs.
He likes to cook.
Yeah, I do like to cook.
He likes to cook, so
I like to eat too.
I think that'll give him kind of a little bit of chance to mix meat making with cooking.
I love to cook. I don't make a single dessert because if like I'm already a big guy. If I started making desserts, then I'd be twice the size. It'd be a chocolate. It'd be a wedding cake on my counter
All the time.
every week. It'd be a chocolate wedding cake.
Chocolate wedding cake. Of all wedding cakes, a chocolate wedding cake. Alright, so anyway, we're going to go ahead and we're going to get through these, get these pasteurized. As I said earlier, my bottles aren't going to be here till Friday, so I won't be able to actually transfer these, but I will keep you guys up to date.
Yeah. Let it settle, and then because if you like say it doesn't clear out all tonight, right? Then you start transferring it. Then it's going to clear a little bit in every bottle, right? So I'd let it settle, like I said, maybe those 5 to 7 days. Let everything fall to the bottom, and then rack it over, and then see what it's like. But you also got to worry about headspace, right? That's another thing you have to be concerned
True.
about because
That's
you don't
right.
want the stuff to oxygenate. Because if it does, then you create off flavors or even create vinegar.
Yeah.
It's harder to do at 12%. At 15%, they say it's almost impossible to create vinegar. But you may still get those off flavors.
Excuse me.
Another thing you can do if say you have a lot of headspace, you can put marbles in there and take up some of that space, sanitize marbles. Or you could just move it to a smaller bottle.
Yeah, you can definitely see
The difference
just
there.
the difference right
Like
here.
this one isn't too bad. This one, you know, and maybe that one. And I have to look at the strawberry one and see.
There's quite a bit.
Okay. Yeah, and it's just because of the fruit
Yeah, I
and,
think-
and the lease.
I guess actually the fruit punch is a little bit higher than this one. It comes up a little bit, probably right above the shoulder.
Well, and this is 1 gallon. Is right above the 1 gallon mark on these because it was a City Sitting Brews did a thing where they took their 1 gallon carboys
Yeah, you're welcome.
and all the stuff that they did. They measured them and they said that the 1 gallon on the carboys was right above the 1 gallon mark. So this is probably just a little more than a gallon. This is just under a gallon. And every time you rack these, you're going to lose just a little bit of meat every time.
Every time.
Although, once you get all the sediment out, you don't have to rack it. You can take every ounce of that.
Yeah.
But that's another reason you don't want to rack it 18 different, you know.
That's true. That's a very good point. I wasn't really taking that into consideration. So I think we'll do that then. We'll wait that week or 5 days or so, not a full week, but 5 days. Let it see it settle out, and then move it over. And if we have to move it over again, just one more time. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, thank you, Larry. So we have a few more minutes on this. Where are we at right now, Larry?
It's just at 160, 24 minutes on the timer. So, yeah, just at or just under 160. Or I'm sorry, 140, the 60 mark.
60.
60 degrees Celsius, 140 degrees Fahrenheit.
All right, so we have 23 minutes on there now. We'll go ahead and we'll run this timer out. I think that's pretty much what it was on the last one. We ended up with like 1 minute change on the sous vide. So we should be, yeah, I think you're right. We're right at 60. So we'll go ahead and we'll run this out at 23 minutes left and switch to the next bottle and get the rest of these out of the way. Since we're going to go ahead and we're gonna do the apple pie. Do you want to do that tonight?
Yeah, we could start the basic bean. There's the graham cracker in secondary. I'd recommend adding that in secondary anyway.
So we'll add the graham and the Washington sweet apples. We'll do that all in secondary. All right. I kind of feel like that's safe. Yeah, because it's kind of an extra or artificial flavors maybe. So yeah, we don't want to screw with that too much. So yeah, let's do that. Well, we'll go ahead and get this these last two through there and get it all out of the way, clean up, and get it all ready for some apple pie mead. Let's do that.
And you can't have any. Okay, so we're now about to make apple pie mead, and we want this to max out at 18%, which is what the EC1118 yeast goes to. So that means we need a final gravity of 1.137, and that'll take us to 17.98%. But since we're using apple juice instead of water, we need to know how much gravity is in that apple juice. Because water is 1.000, apple juice should be around 1.50. We're just going to go ahead and see what that is. That way we know how much honey to add. Just leave that in there. So yeah, 1.050, which is what I calculated at, which means we're gonna need roughly 2.5 pounds of honey. So we're gonna go ahead and measure out 1/2 pound of honey. Don't forget to tear it out.
So it's probably the easiest way to figure out if you have an accurate weight or not. So we're going for 8 ounces, or yeah, 8 ounces out of that bottle.
Yeah, but your scale is 1, and then it goes point, and then 3.0 ounces. So can you come over here and show me how to read this?
Sure. So you have 0 pounds, 3 ounces.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it'd be 8 ounces.
So you need 5 more ounces to go.
Okay.
That's actually, it's a shipping scale, so it's pretty damn accurate.
All right. 8 ounces exactly. And then we'll just add our 2 pounds of honey. So that way we know have 2.5 pounds exactly. The reason that we're being so meticulous with this 2.5 pounds, because if we're going to max it out, it's important to know exactly how much you have, because what will happen is if you get too much sugar, you can get a stuck fermentation. And so that's what we're trying to avoid.
And we don't want to stall out halfway through. Look at all that delicious honey. We go right there.
Yeah. It's 2.8, 2.82 ounces.
Which roughly isn't barely anything.
So now I will take this and add that in. the rest of the apple juice.
And actually, I'm going to take this off the scale so we don't
Okay.
overload our scale. I'm going to try to stir that before we get too much in there.
You actually should take and put a cap on it and shake it up.
Shake it?
Yeah.
Shake it.
Because you want to oxygenate it.
I can use this one and clean another one. Make sure that lid's actually on there.
So when you shake it up, you're going to put oxygen into the must, which the yeast needs for fermentation, which is a good thing. And you want to shake it until the honey is completely incorporated into the must. And you'll know that because it'll be off the bottom and off the sides. When you flip it over, you won't see any honey there.
Still actually have a little bit. Even though I shook it that much, still have some on there.
Yeah, the general rule is you shake it as much as you think you need to, and then shake it for like another minute or two. Erik's getting a taste because I only make 1 gallon batches, so this is me every time I make mead, and your arm feels like it's about to fall off. Does it look like it's off the bottom yet? I guess.
Yeah, it looks clean all the way around.
Okay. So yeah, let's just get a gravity reading real quick. We'll put some more in there.
We're using unfiltered apple juice on this one. See all the sediment on the bottom there? I don't think we need that in there.
Yeah.
We're going to leave that out of there. That's less stuff we have to filter out.
You've got that evenly mixed, and then you pour more liquid into it. You just want to shake it up a little bit. You don't have to do 2 or 3 more minutes, just a couple.
Yeah, that first one was 2 or 3 minutes. So we'll put raisins and tea in it in secondary.
So now we're going to grab the reading.
It already smells really good. You can smell both the apple and the honey.
So this was like the first mead I made, only I didn't put fresh fruit or raisins or anything in it. I just did apple juice and honey.
This is actually the one that I really liked. He hooked me on doing this whole thing. Which is the reason why we're doing this one now.
Yeah, you're looking at about 0.03435. So from a technical standpoint, it should be like 2 more points of gravity, but I don't know how to get that in there. I mean, I guess you could take maybe that honey bottle, the empty one, and rinse it.
Put some of this in there and rinse it out. Put it back in.
Yeah, maybe.
Let's try that. Yeah. Yeah, this is the one that got me hooked on the whole idea of making mead. I call Larry and I actually used to splice fiber together. And I called him up. I go, hey man, long time no see, how you doing? He says, I'm drinking mead. Or making mead.
Making mead.
Making mead. I'm like, oh, that sounds cool, man. He goes, oh, it is cool, man.
Bruh!
So, the rest is, present. Oh, you said, wait, no, my bad.
I should put the cap on that.
Yeah.
Let's stir it back up.
All right. I be the stirrer.
Stir it a little bit.
Just stir it a little bit.
The shake weight. It's martini. You can't over oxygenate it at this stage. At later stages, you want to be careful with oxygen because you can turn it into vinegar. But right now, the more oxygen, the better.
We're not making vinegar. We're making mead. So our hydrometer is floating. It's the only way to get an accurate reading. You have to be floating. A little bit of foam in there, so a little bit hard to read.
Yeah, we're about right where we want to be. 137.
137. 1.37. Today's the 12th?
Yep.
10-12? 1.37. Go after some yeast here. Yeast, sir? Yep. Now, do we want to go ahead and put our nutrients in now?
Yeah, I would front load this with nutrients.
Okay.
So
Now, when we do nutrients, okay, so if I was staggering every other day, I would have added 1 full teaspoon of nutrients over that time. Do I still do that same amount, or
well, you were doing a 4-gallon batch, so you're doing 4 gallons worth of nutrients every day. But so he calls for 1 gallon batch on his website. Originally, he said 0.4 teaspoons of Fermate O and Fermate K at the beginning, and then 0.4 teaspoon at the 1/2 sugar break and at the 2/3 sugar break, which would put it at roughly 1.2 teaspoons of Fermate O and 0.4 teaspoons of Fermate K. So that's what I would do for the whole gallon. I would do roughly half a teaspoon of Fermate K, and then I would do 1.5 teaspoons of Fermate O for the entire gallon.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do that.
What we're going to do is put it in this cup, and we're going to put the yeast in.
Now, is it important to put dry in first or dry in after?
You mean the dry yeast?
Dry ingredients in first or dry ingredients in?
Oh, okay. What I was thinking was we could put the dry ingredients in first and then put a little bit of the must in there, and that would kind of activate the yeast. You're supposed to let it sit technically for 15 minutes to activate it. Some people just pitch right on top. There's nothing wrong with that either.
Okay. So we'll do...
This is kind of a different way of...
This is O.
Okay.
We were doing...
Is that a tea? So O will get 1.5 teaspoons.
Teaspoon. And 1/2. That was O.
And then Fermate K, we're going to do 1/2 teaspoon.
1/2 teaspoon. Okay. If you guys put this stuff in a Ziploc bag, be careful with it. It really moves real easy. So 1/2 teaspoon of K and 1.5. I really don't think you can we say half of K?
Mm-hmm.
Alright. I'll get this stuff out of the way.
So what you're hearing right here is we're pasteurizing a gallon of mead that's already been done. That's the mango habanero.
I got you. All this stuff kind of seems like it's like hydrophobic, so it wants to bead up.
Yeah, it's gonna clump together a little bit, and it's mainly the fermate that's clumping together. So probably in about 2 weeks, we'll add the apple cinnamon and the graham cracker flavoring with the allspice and the rest of the spices, and that'll sit for about 2 weeks. and then you'll be ready to pasteurize it, rack it, back sweeten it, and then let it sit for a little while and bottle it. If you let it sit there, and it should kind of bubble up on its own after about 10 or 15 minutes, you'll start to see it bubble.
Okay.
And that's how you know that the yeast is alive and awake.
Which we're bubbling already.
Yeah, because of the oxygen and everything from mixing it like that. Trying to break up all those pieces.
So I guess we don't really want to get confused in that situation.
Yeah, well, these are all
mixing it, or their bubbles coming from everything starting to activate.
Yeah. Another thing too, and we don't have any here right now, and maybe I should have brought some because I just got some and I forgot. You can add potassium carbonate, and that will lower the pH balance of the mead, which will keep your yeast from getting stressed out. You always want to give your yeast the best chance they can. That way you don't get those strong ethanol flavors. You know, that crazy like diesel fuel flavor, you know, jet fuel flavor, which this is maxing out. So this is going to go like to the very max that the mead is supposed to make. You want to give this every chance that you can to make sure you don't get a stuck fermentation.
Well, I guess right now we'll let this set for 15 minutes and we'll just toast. I was on top that time. All right, so I can see edgewise that there's a little bubbly film up on top there. That's what we're looking for. It's been about 15, maybe 18 minutes.
Yeah, that's just going to tell you that the yeast is activated and that they're alive. Now at this point, we've got our must. It's at the proper gravity that it should be. This should come out to 17.98% ABV. And with that, we've got our yeast with the nutrients inside. It's already been activated. Like I said, you don't have to activate your yeast. A lot of people just pitch it right on top. I just kind of wanted to show Eric, you know, that this is what they do and sometimes used to do. If you were going to make a yeast starter, you would do something similar to this, but you would put it on a stir plate, let it sit for 24 hours, and you would get this crazy huge colony of yeast, and then you would put it in and it would just go nuts. But yeah, that's what we did. So now we're just going to add the yeast, the nutrients, to the 1 gallon of mead, and then we'll put an airlock on it, and that should be it.
Did you already do this?
Yeah, I did. You can just add just stuff in there. I just don't want to make a mess all over your table.
Oh, it's all right.
You say it's all right, but when we're off camera, he beats me sometimes. Yeah, you will be putting fruit in there, so
we're going to be putting fruit in here and a cup of black tea.
yeah, and then remember the last time you put fruit in there, it started to re-ferment,
Especially apples.
which put gas into the fluid, which means it kicked up again. So
The apples actually overflowed. So we need to mix this up again or anything?
no, this should just be ready for the ready for that.
Okay. Still a little bit. I had the same problem with the apple last time for some reason. Did you have this problem when you did apple?
I've had this problem when I first started making mead, but what I do is I usually dry this out, and then the way I put it on is I'll take it, and as I'm pushing down, I kind of turn it. And
Now
then
it's sticking.
I
See
keep
it's
going.
sticking.
And I just get it in as tight as I can. And that way, even if it does push out a little bit, it's okay. The biggest thing is you want to make sure it's dry so it creates friction, so it's harder for it to pull out. And I think too, the bungs we use, like this should be a number 6 bung, and the ones at our local brew store sell 6.5. So this is a little bit big, but it still works. You just have to, like I said, keep it dry, and then I kind of twist as I'm pushing it down, and it works enough. It works well enough.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't wobble at all.
Yeah, you'll get an airtight seal. You just don't want it to pop out. That way bugs or bacteria can get in, or you could also spill your sanitizer water wherever it's at, and mess up your mead.
Yeah. So, apple pie.
Coming soon.
It's coming soon, like I said. All right, so the apple pie I started. Today is October 12th. We're starting with a 1.37 alcohol by volume, or our gravity reading, which would give us 1.37 alcohol by volume.
17.98%.
That's what, that's why I keep him around. He knows math. We're gonna wait 5 days to let the mead in those 4 gallons to settle out, and we'll re-rack those. And do you think we should re-rack those into new bottles, or just go directly into 750s from there?
It's at that point, I mean, you can go to 750s, or what you can do is go like rack directly into a carboy, and then directly from the carboy to the 750s. I don't know if that really matters as much, because I've seen people do that. I've never tried it. I usually just go straight from the carboy to the bottle, but I always have a little bit of sediment at the bottom. I don't know if you will ever get that sediment at the bottom. I've only ever seen one person get that out, and it's because they constantly rack their mead until they just don't have any sediment. So they'll rack it, let it sit, rack it, let it sit, rack it, let it sit, until there's no sediment. But every time you do that, you're gonna lose a little bit of mead, right? So the only way I could see that being useful is if you're doing like 1.5 to 2 gallons of mead, and then you're just gonna keep racking it till you get down to a gallon.
And you're okay with all the loss.
Yeah.
Which I have a lab grade filtering vacuum filter. So if it really does come down to the point of I want to see if we can get the clearest mead that we can possibly get, then I'll put it on a vacuum filter, and we'll get everything out of it for sure. So
the only thing too that I want to add is that, so right now you see the airlock has just a little bit of pressure. It's not even, right? And some of that's from pushing this in, and you see how that goes down because of the air in there. It's going to take a couple hours for this to really start fermenting, and then you'll start seeing bubbles come through here, and that's how you know that it's started to ferment and that it's good. We know because we watched the yeast get activated, and we saw a few bubbles here and there in the yeast. But don't worry if you don't instantly start seeing bubbles in your airlock, or if you even an hour or two. I've seen it take up to 12 hours to start fermenting. So check in 12 hours, check the next day. If this thing is bubbling away, which it will, every few seconds it'll make a bubble, and that's how you know that fermentation has started, and you're good to go.
yeah, as long as that thing doesn't actually move at all, you're tight. And tight is right. Ain't that right? Till next time, remember, you're amazing. Appreciate you guys stopping in. Thank you, and have a great evening.